Over the past 6 months, perhaps due to work stress, my wife Su Qing has been somewhat distant in our relationship, frequently rejecting me, which eventually left me feeling unsatisfied. On one occasion, we managed to engage, but it ended abruptly. I suggested that we take a trip to Western Sichuan to change our surroundings and see if we could rekindle our passion. Before leaving, she invited her best friend and her husband to join us, saying that with 2 extra people, we could look out for each other, especially since Sichuan is a high-altitude region. However, when it was time to leave, only her best friend, Yina, showed up. I was a bit upset. This was supposed to be our special time together, and now someone else was coming along. This would give Su Qing another excuse to reject me. But I soon changed my mind. I had known Yina before, but hadn't seen her for half a year. I didn't know if she had had surgery, but her figure was even more curvaceous, and she dressed boldly and provocatively. When we were moving our luggage, she bent over and gave me a glimpse of her cleavage, which made my heart race. Yina looked at me with seductive eyes and pulled her low-cut dress up a little. Lu Yong, Chunbin is busy at the store, so I'm afraid you'll have to help him out. I hope you don't mind me disturbing your time together. I smiled awkwardly, unable to take my eyes off her. It's no bother. I'm happy to have a beautiful woman to keep me company. A strange fire was ignited in my heart, and I thought to myself, my wife Su Qing is the demure type. If she could dress as boldly as Yina, there would definitely be no problems between us. The car hadn't gone very far when Su Qing said she was very sleepy and wanted to sleep in the back seat. Yina naturally sat in the front passenger seat, and soon, Su Qing began to breathe evenly in the back seat. As soon as she sat down, Yina stared straight at me, then turned to look at Su Qing sleeping in the back seat, pursed her lips and smiled secretly, then suddenly said, "Did you two do something bad last night? Look how tired Qing is. She's married to such a good husband." "Did you two do something bad last night? Look how tired Qing is. She's so lucky to have such a good husband." These words rekindled the fire in my heart. I turned to look at Su Qing, who was already asleep. In front of such a beautiful woman, I couldn't control myself and smiled mischievously. "You've never tried it, so how would you know?" Yina playfully punched me, not angry at all, her face full of coquettishness, nowhere near the cold arrogance of the ice queen she usually was. "You're so mean. I'm giving you a chance. Do you dare?" I really didn't dare. I just admire her from afar. A friend's wife is off limits, and her husband Chunbin was my business partner, so he was like a half-brother to me. We hadn't walked far when it started raining, and it grew heavier, mixed with hail. The roads began to jam, and the traffic worsened. By 7 o'clock in the evening, it was getting dark, and it was impossible to reach the hotel we had booked. To be on the safe side, we decided to stay in a nearby town. But we never expected that when we arrived in the town, there were so many stranded tourists that we asked several inns, and they were all full. Everyone was exhausted, and there was only one place left. The front desk said there was one couple's room left, and asked if we wanted to book it. Behind us, several people in other cars were eyeing us greedily. I hesitated and looked at Su Qing, but Yina had already grabbed the room card without saying a word. "Let's take it." As soon as we entered the room, Yina apologized to us, saying that she didn't want to be the third wheel and would sleep on the floor, leaving us alone. She said she wouldn't be able to see anything. Su Qing was embarrassed by her words and kicked me onto the floor. Although I was extremely unhappy, I had no choice but to endure it. While Yina was taking a shower, I bit Su Qing's ear. "Honey, come to the floor tonight and reward your husband." Su Qing, who was usually so proper, was also aroused by the situation and reached her hand in, biting my ear. "Husband, I'm a little turned on too, once Nana falls asleep." The sound of running water came from the bathroom. Yina was taking a shower. The glass in the bathroom of this couple's room was frosted, allowing a faint outline to be seen. From my angle, I could see the outline of a woman's body. Even though it was just an outline, I could see her perfect curves, and I couldn't control myself. I unbuttoned Su Qing's clothes. "Honey, let's do this quickly and continue later tonight." Su Qing cooperated with me and sat on top of me, but just as we were about to succeed, Yina came out of the shower. She was wearing only a strapless dress, with water dripping from her hair. Seeing this, she felt embarrassed and stepped back. Why don't you two continue? I didn't see anything. The fire in my heart raged, but I had to force myself to endure it, crawling into the mattress, waiting for my midnight rendezvous with my wife. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the urge to urinate. In a daze, I went to the bathroom and returned to find my wife's legs sticking out from under the blanket, barely visible. She was sleeping so soundly that she had completely forgotten what she had promised me earlier. She saw Yina sleeping with her head buried in the blanket. I became bolder and reached out my hand in the dark. My wife instinctively pushed my hand away in her sleep, but the more she resisted, the more I wanted to go further, slowly moving upward. I could feel that she was awake because she responded slightly, so I moved more boldly and finally pulled off the clothes she was wearing under her nightgown with ease. This woman was still shy in front of her own husband, even sleeping in this thing. But when I had her in my grasp, I suddenly realized that something was wrong. These weren't Su Qing's measurements. I was so scared that I quickly pulled my hand back. In the darkness, Su Qing turned over and rolled up the blanket, exposing her entire back. This time I saw clearly that this person was not my wife, but Yina. Damn it, but before going to sleep, I clearly remembered that Yina slept by the window and Su Qing slept on the floor. But the curve of her back was so beautiful that even though I knew it was Yina, I couldn't take my eyes off her and stared unabashedly. What was even worse was that after a while, she turned over in her sleep. Several times, I raised my hand to touch that enchanting sight again, but in the end, I didn't dare. It was truly heaven for the eyes and hell for the body. In the end, I don't even know when I fell asleep. The next morning, when I woke up, my wife and Yina had already packed up and were ready to leave, while I was still asleep. When I pulled back the blanket, I saw a black garment with very little fabric pressed against my body, and I was so scared I couldn't even breathe. Yina, who was beside me, acted as if nothing had happened. She smiled slyly at me, pulled Su Qing out of the room, and said she was going to wait for me in the parking lot. My heart was pounding. All day long, I was so nervous that I didn't dare to look Yina in the eye. I didn't know if she knew about last night's incident. But she didn't say anything. On the way, she even joked around with me from time to time, just like yesterday. It wasn't until that night when we checked into a hotel in a small county town that she suddenly stopped me before we entered the room and smiled in a way that was hard to describe. Stop pretending. Give me back my things. I was scared out of my wits, afraid that Su Qing inside the room would hear, so I lowered my voice. Auntie, it's just a misunderstanding. Please don't be angry. If you want to punish me, we can talk about it when we get back. Is that okay? And that thing. I'll give it to you later. I had dirted it, and I really didn't dare give it to her now. Unexpectedly, Yina's lips curved into a seductive smile. She turned around, swaying her waist, and entered her own room next door. At the door, she turned back and blew me a kiss. Forget it. I'll give it to you. Keep it as a souvenir. I was completely mesmerized. I fled back into the room, my heart still pounding wildly. What did this woman mean? What was she up to? Was she really not angry? In the end, I couldn't figure it out, so I decided not to think about it anymore. My common sense told me not to have too many impure thoughts. Inside the room, Su Qing hadn't washed up and was lying on the bed, fast asleep. I hugged her and tried to make love to her, but it took a long time for her to wake up. She was still half asleep and lay there like a dead fish, not giving me any response. Husband, I'm tired. My head hurts so much. Let's go to sleep. I sighed and let go of her, feeling utterly bored. Her high-altitude reaction was really severe today. She was also listless at the scenic spot earlier. But lying in bed, I tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. I suddenly felt hungry all over and didn't want to deprive myself anymore, so I ran downstairs to the barbecue stall and grilled a bunch of food to bring back. I had to satisfy myself somehow. I also grabbed a bottle of wine. Just as I reached the door, Yina's door opened, and she stood there wearing a sexy, strapless nightgown. What, trying to eat all by yourself? I'm hungry too. I hesitated for a moment, thinking that Su Qing was sleeping soundly, and with my own desires stirring, I found myself carrying the grilled food into Yina's room. Yina didn't seem to be in a very good mood. Her eyes were red, and after taking a few sips of wine, she started crying and listing all of Qinbin's faults. Damn it, he's such a weak man and doesn't know how to be romantic. I don't know why I'm even with him. I never would have thought that Qinbin would ignore such a beautiful woman. What a waste. I tried to comfort her, but she cried even harder, her tear-streaked face making my heart race. As she cried, she threw herself into my arms. The warmth of her breath swirled around my neck, making me want to push her away, but unable to bring myself to do so, a small volcano erupted in my heart. In my panic, I accidentally touched a soft, sweet spot. It felt exactly the same as last night. My movements became rough and uncontrollable. Yina nestled in my arms, her face flushed with embarrassment, but she leaned closer to me and took the initiative to move closer. I completely lost control. At that moment, I didn't care about reason or morality. Soon, we fell onto the 1.8-meter wide bed, releasing our primal energy under the dim light. The strong visual impact of this woman, who was completely different from Su Qing, caused the primal energy within me to surge rapidly, while Yina, in my arms, was so soft and delicate that she seemed to have no bones, her soft voice reaching straight to my heart. Smooth, seductive, wild. But just at that critical moment, there was a sudden knock on the door. Yina hooked her neck around mine, her lips and teeth carrying an intoxicating fragrance, whispering in my ear, "Darling, don't stop, no matter who it is. We didn't hear anything, okay?" I wanted to pretend I hadn't heard. Interrupting us at this moment was like wanting to kill me. Even if the sky were falling, I would have to release her first. But then I heard Su Qing's panicked voice. "Nana, are you there? Do you know where Lu Yang went?" I woke up and didn't see him. It was more serious than the sky falling. I was so scared that my soul almost left my body. I felt like a sponge that had been squeezed dry, and I hugged my clothes, almost jumping off the 3rd floor. Finally, I crawled into the bathroom and kept signaling to Yina I couldn't let Su Qing know I was in the room. Yina quietly called me a coward and stood at the door talking to Su Qing. "I don't know, I haven't seen him either. I was asleep." After saying that, she was about to close the door, but Su Qing pulled Yina's hand and begged her. "Lu Yang must be angry with me. I just rejected him, but I don't know why. I'm just very sleepy. Nana, will you go downstairs with me to look for him? Maybe he went out to drink alone. I'm a little scared to go out alone." I felt incredibly guilty. I had done such a despicable thing, yet my wife was still worried about my safety. I wasn't human. Yina couldn't refuse, so she turned around, changed her clothes, and accompanied Su Qing downstairs. Before leaving, she ran into the bathroom, hugged me, and kissed me. "Honey, wait for me to come back." After what had happened, even if I wanted to, I didn't dare. I scrambled back to my room. Not long after, Su Qing returned, curling up in my arms like a kitten, her eyes full of worry. She said she shouldn't have refused me earlier and asked where I had gone. She had looked for me all over the building but couldn't find me. When I woke up, I suddenly realized you weren't there. I was so scared. It felt so much safer being held by my own wife. I explained to her that I had just gone downstairs to eat something and had just returned. Just as I was speaking, Yina sent another message, telling me to find an opportunity to go over and see her again. I dared not reply. Tossing my phone aside, Su Qing, still in my arms, continued talking to me before drifting off to sleep once more. Yina's messages kept coming, and she even took 2 seductive selfies, as if she was determined to get me. But I've known Yina for many years, and she wasn't like this before. Plus, she and Su Qing are very good friends, so even if I occasionally felt her gaze on me, there had always been a clear boundary between us. I had a vague feeling that something was wrong. That night, I replied to Yuna that I was going to rest and said good night, then didn't reply to her messages anymore. That night, I thought a lot. At first, I thought maybe my wife was using her best friend to test my loyalty. Otherwise, why would Su Qing appear at such a critical moment? But then I thought it was unlikely. With Su Qing's simple mind, even if I had been a little forward with another woman, she would have given me the cold shoulder for 3 days and 3 nights. How could she tolerate my intimate contact with Yuna? The only explanation was that it was true what Yuna had said. Chinbin was a weakling, and Su Qing was always showing off their love in front of her, so she was desperate and had set her sights on me. But that didn't make sense either. All the men in our group of friends knew that Chinbin didn't make much money, but he was very promiscuous and even had a college girlfriend whom he kept showing off in front of us from time to time. If he was really that weak, was she just keeping him around for looks? I couldn't help but feel endless sympathy for Yuna. This woman had it tough. The next morning when we set off, in order to avoid making a mistake, I took the initiative to let Su Qing sit in the front passenger seat. After passing the service area, when I went to the restroom, Yuna stopped me. Her eyes were red, obviously from crying, and she looked mournful as she threw herself into my arms again. You don't want me either? I'm worthless. I shouldn't have said those things to you last night. My mouth was dry, and after struggling to find the right words for a long time, I finally said one sentence. Yuna, you and Su Qing are best friends. This isn't right. After saying that, I pushed her away forcefully, and her tears fell instantly as she held onto my hand. Just once, okay? I swear. We'll keep this between us. Qing will never find out, and neither will Chinbin. Don't you really want to? Seeing that I was silent, she wrapped her arms around my neck, kissed me lightly on the lips, and added, I'll be waiting for you in my room tonight. Will you come? I wanted to refuse. I swear I wanted to refuse with all my heart, but the word, okay, slipped out of my mouth. The entire afternoon, I was distracted, my emotions in turmoil. Even at the scenic spot, I was absent-minded. At the same time, I noticed something strange. Su Qing was full of energy at first, but after passing by a local street stall, she and Yuna got out to eat a bowl of cold noodles and returned. Soon after, she started feeling sleepy again and dozed off with her head tilted on the seat. In front of Su Qing, Yuna, who was sitting in the back seat, boldly reached over and teased me. She was so forward that I couldn't believe it. The vague feeling of unease from last night swept over me again. At that moment, my rationality suddenly returned. While I was dealing with Yuna, I carefully recalled every little detail of the trip. Then my eyes fell on the half-empty bottle of sea buckthorn drink next to Su Qing, and I suddenly noticed something was wrong. This box of sea buckthorn drinks was brought by Yuna when she left, saying it was for beauty and nourishment, to drink on the road. I didn't like it because it was too sweet, so I didn't even try it, but on the way, whenever we were thirsty or eating, she and Su Qing would each drink a bottle. Come to think of it, every time Su Qing finished drinking, she would feel sleepy, and it was precisely because she fell asleep that Yuna and I had endless opportunities for flirting. To confirm my suspicion, I found an excuse to send Yuna out of the car to buy something, and took the opportunity to drink the half bottle of drink Su Qing had left. Sure enough, before long I started to feel sleepy, so sleepy that I couldn't even hold the steering wheel. At that moment, a layer of cold sweat broke out on my back. Why did she do that? That night, I didn't say anything and used the excuse of feeling unwell to stop early in a county town. Since I had drunk half of the drink, Su Qing's mood improved a lot by the evening, and she insisted on going out for barbecue, and Yuna agreed with her. At the same time, I took 2 bottles of sea buckthorn drink out of the trunk. I forced myself to accompany them. At the barbecue stall, Yuna chatted with Su Qing while kicking me under the table. I sent her a message. I decided to play along and secretly sent her a message. Don't mess with me, you little devil. Just wait and see what I'll do to you tonight. A smile flashed across her eyes, but she had no idea that while the two of them were picking out food, I had already switched their drinks. On the way back to the hotel, Yina was walking unsteadily. After sending her back to her room, I had to hurry back. I had already guessed her motive, but without seeing it with my own eyes or having concrete evidence, I couldn't be sure. Moreover, after what had happened the previous 2 nights, I didn't have the courage to confess this to my wife. I was afraid she wouldn't accept my infidelity and would cry and make a scene, which would ruin everything. I made up an excuse to deceive her. "Honey, I have to go out of town on an urgent business trip. You and Yina should go ahead and have fun. I can't stay with you anymore." Su Qing hugged me, reluctant to leave, but she had always been my wise and supportive wife, always unconditionally supporting me in my work. At this moment, she still wanted to go with me. But I refused. At this moment, I had to keep Yina calm. "Honey, I'm sorry. This rare chance to travel together has been ruined. You should have a good time with Yina. Next time, we'll go out together without anyone else." I flew back to my city that night, but I didn't tell anyone, not even Yina and Su Qing, who thought I had gone on a business trip to a city in the south. Sure enough, as I had expected, something big happened during the 3 days I was away. I run a wholesale supply company for traditional Chinese herbs. It's not a big company, but it's been doing pretty well over the past 2 years. Especially recently, the bidding for the supply contract with a large hospital in the western part of the city was waiting for the final decision and signing of the contract. I never worried that there would be any problems with this deal because I had been working with this hospital for 3 years, and we had a very good relationship. Every year, the bidding was just a formality. I believed in my own abilities. So when my wife suggested that we go on a trip, I agreed without hesitation. But it was only last night that I found out that it was actually Yina who had suggested the trip. Chenbin and I have been in the same line of work for many years. Our stalls in the wholesale market are right next to each other. Back then, Yina and Su Qing came to the herbal medicine market looking for work and applied to be sales assistants at my store. I immediately took a liking to Su Qing. She was petite and delicate, with a very approachable demeanor. Yina, on the other hand, was beautiful, but full of arrogance. Because of this, Yina burst into tears on the spot. Not long after, she ended up applying for a job at Chenbin's shop. But no one could have predicted that these 2 sisters would eventually both become shop owners. Over the years, my business has prospered, and I've opened several wholesale stores. On the other hand, Chenbin suffered significant losses due to a reckless investment, and despite my efforts to help him, he's now struggling to keep his business afloat. Not long ago, he came to talk to me, asking me to give him the cooperation with the hospital in the west of the city. I refused on the spot. It's not that I don't want to help him, but with his current capabilities, I'm afraid he won't be able to handle it and will ruin the reputation we've worked so hard to build. Because of this, Chenbin was upset with me for a long time, but Yina and Su Qing's relationship was not affected at all. The 2 of them still spent every day together, going to beauty salons, shopping, and drinking afternoon tea, their sisterly bond as strong as ever. Until this trip. Actually, I should have been alert when Chenbin suddenly gave up on coming, but it was my fault for trusting our friendship over the years too much. I even thought I could repair our relationship during the trip, but I was naive. The day after I returned late at night, I asked a friend to inquire at the Drug Administration Bureau whether the quality inspection report for the drugs that had been sent for inspection some time ago had come out. Unexpectedly, they said that the Sanchi and Fritillaria we supplied did not meet the standards and that substances harmful to the human body were even detected in them. But how could this be? I know my products well. They were carefully inspected at every step of the process. If there was a problem, someone must have tampered with them. You see, the 2 main items required by the West City Hospital were precisely these 2. Suspecting Chenbin, I asked someone to find out the list of companies that had bid for the contract to supply the West City Hospital's Chinese medicine pharmacy. Sure enough, Chenbin's company was on the list. If I hadn't rushed back to discover this, he would have presented the Drug Administration Bureau's test report at the bidding meeting in a few days, and I wouldn't have had time to cry. If I withdrew, he would be the strongest contender. I couldn't just sit and wait for disaster. I paid a lot of money to request an urgent retest and had to get the new test report before the bidding meeting began. 3 days later, Yi Na and Su Qing returned from their trip, and coincidentally, the new test report was also released on the same day. I finally had the confidence to stand my ground. Chinbin had no chance of snatching this order from me. That evening, I arranged a meeting with Chinbin and Yi Na. The grudges between us needed to be settled. I had to ask them in person as longtime friends why they had done this. Could it really be that profit was more important than everything else? Especially Chinbin, who had even sent his wife to use her charms on me in order to achieve his goal. I didn't call Su Qing because I was afraid that things would get so ugly between us that she wouldn't be able to handle it. I booked a private room at a high-end restaurant, and as soon as we met, I threw 2 copies of the inspection reports on the table. Chinbin, you did this, didn't you? You swapped the samples I sent for testing, then took advantage of the situation to secure the order from West City Hospital. You even schemed to send me on a trip, thinking you had everything covered. Seeing the items on the table, both of their expressions changed slightly, especially Yi Na, whose emotions seemed to be spiraling out of control. Lu Yang, I never expected you to be so scheming. I knew something was off when you suddenly left. You snuck back here, and Su Qing even lied to me, saying you were out of town and sent me photos. Now that everything's out in the open, let's not beat around the bush. We need this order because it's our only chance to turn things around. Are you going to step down or not? Such a direct provocation made me laugh instead of get angry. Then I insist on not withdrawing. Even if your company goes bankrupt, what does that have to do with me? Why should I help you? Don't talk to me about friendship. From now on, I, Lu Yang, don't know you. Seeing that the situation was hopeless, Chinbin became hysterical, grabbed Yi Na's cell phone, found a video in it, and threw it at me. Yi Na couldn't grab it in time. In the video, Yi Na and I were eating barbecue and drinking wine while talking. Before long, we were hugging each other. The scene was so hot and explosive that no one would believe we weren't doing anything. You made my life miserable, and I'll make yours miserable too. I'm going to send this video to Su Qing, and I'll report you for assaulting my wife. He was probably crazy, but I was really afraid of this mad dog because I didn't want to lose my marriage to Su Qing. I tried to calm him down and think of a plan. Chinbin, don't get so worked up. Let's talk this out. Just tell me what you want, and we can negotiate. If it's business, I can hook you up with a few deals later. You can't handle this hospital contract. Just as we were at an impasse, the door to the private room suddenly swung open. Su Qing walked straight up to Chinbin, watched the video from start to finish, then deleted it, her emotions completely under control. She looked at Yi Na with a cold smile. Yi Na, you really are my good sister. Back then, just because Lu Yang liked me and not you, you became jealous. Your husband is useless, so you had to come and steal him from me? It seemed that Su Qing was not as innocent as I had imagined. Did you really think that the drugs you put in the sea buckthorn drink would make me sleep for 100 years? Don't think that I don't know what you did on the way here, and don't think you can fool me with this fake video. Let me tell you, Lu Yang and I are in a good relationship. We won't be blackmailed like this. Yi Na and I looked at her in disbelief. Was Su Qing pretending to be asleep the whole way here? Chinbin slapped Yi Na across the face. You stupid woman. You can't even handle such a small thing. What use are you to me? Get out of here. Yi Na lost control and started scratching and biting Chinbin. Are you even a man? You can't do anything right, and you're still fooling around outside. Damn it. Why am I so unlucky to have ended up with a piece of trash like you? While cursing Chinbin, she turned to confront Su Qing. Su Qing, let me tell you, there's not a single bit of editing in that video. That night, I did everything with your man. Why do you get all the good things? I'm jealous of you. Insanely jealous. If I can't have it, I'll destroy it. I didn't dare let Su Qing hear anymore, so I pulled her away and ran out, but as soon as we stepped out the door, she yanked my hand away. Lu Yang, let's both calm down. Don't think that just because I helped you deal with Yi Na and the others, I've truly forgiven you. That night, if I hadn't come knocking on the door, would you two have really gone through with it? My head spun. And I had no idea when Su Qing had figured out what was going on between Yi Na and me, or how much she knew. I pulled her back, saying that I had been momentarily confused, that Yi Na had gotten me drunk, and I had lost my mind and made a mistake. Su Qing just asked me coldly, "Then what about the lace underwear of Yi Na that you put in the box?" It's a good thing I saw those things, otherwise I wouldn't have known that Yi Na had been putting something in your drinks all along. She didn't continue, and pushed my hand away again before leaving. I was so regretful, but my family members gave me some advice. What else could I do to help Su Qing get over this hurdle?